Hey there viewers, welcome back to Ray of All Trades. Today we're going to work on a Stihl MS251. They said it was cutting just fine, throwing saw chips, everything else like that. They said it made a pop noise. It actually started losing power and then it made a pop noise. And then when they started, pulling on the cord, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it makes a pretty distinct sound when it's pulling. So it's like a lot of air noise. Occasionally you'll hear a loud pop noise. Something's just not quite right. Compression feels kind of low on it. Did we score up a cylinder? Or something else going on? And I already see our problem. I'll see that. He said it just had it in for service at one of the, I think it was Ace Hardware, I think he said. Anyway, just had it serviced. If you notice, there's no threads left on that cylinder. Looks like it pulled the threads right along there. So, let's see, do I have a better light? And that one's not quite as bright. You see that? There's no threads left. I mean, there's some threads way down in there, but there's no threads up here. Nice, pretty blue fuel in there. We're going to take this bar and chain off of here in just a second. Just want to see how bad it is so we can determine our next course of action. That looks really good. Let me get it so I can see the rings. Yeah, that thing looks really good in there. So no other complaints about the saw from the end user other than it not starting. Let's get this bar and chain off of here so I don't hurt myself. So I think we're going to put a new set of threads in this thing. It's a clamshell style motor, so you can pull the whole cylinder off and do it that way. I think what we're going to try to do is use a kit and put a set of threads in it. What I'm going to do is move the piston all the way to the bottom, attempt to gingerly put some threads in this thing, add a little bit of grease to catch the shavings, and then before we put it back together, we're going to vacuum out from the exhaust port any kind of shavings that might have ended up inside there. Alright, so the piston's right at the top of the exhaust port. This is the kit we're going to use. Use the drill bit they provided to drill, basically open this back up. We're going to use a counter bore so that there's a place for this shoulder right here to sit. It says that it has a stopper so that you can't counterbore too deep. Then we're going to tap it, screw the insert into the threaded hole with an installer tool, and then the thread is repaired, ready to use. Seems easy enough, right? Important to note, you have to know what size you need. This happens to be a 10 millimeter. A lot of the thread inserts that I have are 14 millimeter, but the kit came with a whole bunch of inserts. The kit came with a drill bit, a tap, a counter bore, and I'm guessing that's the installer tool. So let's start with drill bit. It's really important that you get this perfectly straight. This drill is the absolute most, in my mind, is the absolute most critical step. Making sure that this drill bit is perfectly straight. Because if it's not, it's going to sit at a funny angle, and then the spark plug will sit at a funny angle, and you don't want that. All right, so the idea, this pulls the shavings up the flute. What we're going to do is we're going to put some grease inside here and inside here to catch those shavings and clean it out when we're done. There is a square head on the end so that you can do this by hand if you want. But in my mind, it seems like I can hold and align the drill a lot better this way. Because doing it by hand, I feel like I just take turning it so many times, I have the opportunity to mess up. Covered up the end with grease. We're going to save that because we're going to need it again. All right. Let's see. Let's get that out of the way. Looks like about that angle right there. Still good. So I'm walking up a little bit. Let's clean out what we have here. Yes, one very, very important step here. If yours has a decompression valve, a lot of those decompression valves interfere with the spark plug for drilling it, and you can damage them. So make sure that decompression valve is pulled out first. Like I said, the drill is in my mind, the most critical part. Everything else is based on that hole that you just finished drilling. Next thing is a counterbore. If you notice, there's like a shelf right here. So these teeth right here are going to cut until it reaches that shelf. And the guide pin is going to keep it straight. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Let's grease it up. Okay, let's keep it straight. Okay, all right, let's clean up our mess here. Put my finger in the hole. Okay, and let's make sure that nothing else is coming out of here. Next step is a tap. We are going to do this one manually, and we are going to put some grease in this one as well, because it's cutting threads while it's going in. All right, let me grab a tap handle. There you go. I grabbed a little bit fancier tap handle. You can use a wrench if you needed to, but a regular tap handle was interfering with this intake, and I just didn't want to mess with that. Should be able to start it by hand. Looks pretty straight. And that should be most of my shavings, if not all of them. And that's about what it should look like. Let's grab a camera and look inside that cylinder, make sure we don't have anything hanging out in there. All right. I do see some debris right there. So you see how the piston's right at the very top of that stroke? Let's blow air through that direction. All right, what about now? I swear I see something right there. Yeah, there's my transfer. Nothing there anymore. So it actually didn't catch everything. Those bits and pieces. That's where I see something right there, right? You guys see it right down in that bottom corner? All right, let's attack it from the other side. All right, I think I got most of the shavings out. What I'd like to do now is flush it out with some carb cleaner. And I'm going to put the saw straight up and down so you guys aren't going to be able to see it too well. But if I can keep the shavings and stuff like that from going down into the motor, I think I'd be better off. So let's do something like that. It's important to get all that stuff cleaned out of there. So I think the grease made some of the shavings sticky. While it helped with one regard, you know, I mean, it kept some of it on the flutes, it hurt with other regards. Y'all let me know how you do it whenever if you don't pull the cylinder, because obviously pulling the cylinder is a whole different ball of wax. But if you do leave it on there, how do you guys do it? Let me know in the comments, please. Y'all excuse my head for just a second. See anything but dirt. It's not taking away those marks. Yeah, what I'm looking at is actually just marks in the casting. I was so concerned about even the smallest little glimmer of sparkle. I wanted to make sure it was cleaned out, but I think we're good to go. All right, last step in the process. Y'all saw me clean out the threads with some carb cleaner. Got everything clean. I wiped it out with a Q-tip. Now I'm going to use some red Loctite. Because I don't want it to come back out. I'll put the installer tool in there. And we're going to thread it on in until she bottoms out. It should go in by hand pretty easy. Let's snug it down. Back out our installer tool. Yeah, not too bad. So I'll do it. All right, let's let that sit up before we attempt to start it. I'm gonna go ahead and just button everything else back up. I think I'm gonna let it sit several hours, maybe overnight. Let's let time do its thing. I'll bring you guys back either later tonight or tomorrow, and we'll give it a try. I'll leave a link to this installer kit in the description. Worked out pretty well. All right, y'all. It's been sitting for a little while. Let's give this thing a try. Yeah, I think that'll do. Little 251. Common problem on pretty much, well, I mean, I've seen it on all kinds of saws and Ford trucks, right? Anyway, spark plug just shoots right out of them. Quick repair, didn't even have to take the motor apart. Hope y'all got something out of the video. Really appreciate you hanging out. I'll catch you on the next one.